guys, I have been trying to get some videos of the Dakota now that I have the gearing and the axles, and it has been just a nightmare. Um, Honestly, there's probably going to be more talk in this video about all the things that you can possibly have go wrong with a TDI swap more than anything that went right in the past couple weeks. But anyway, I did get a couple of short clips of me driving just to kind of show you guys the gear splits after the 513 gear installs from it was running a 355 stock. Just cruising to work here, and coolant temp's having a little trouble there. It is really cold. Alright guys, so it is snow-packed and icy conditions here, but wanted to give you guys a little bit of a test drive here with the Dakota, running the new 513 gearing, and just show you the gear shifts there. And I got this chest mount for my phone I'm trying out here, see if that's any more stable than me trying to hold it and drive, because I can't really show you the shifting while I'm driving here, so we'll see how this goes. But anyway, that, and I had to do almost I think it's a 56% correction factor to get the speedometer to read right, and I think it's just too far, because it's starting to screw with the miles per hour, so I might have to mess with that some more. So you'll see the mile per hour fluctuate there once we get up higher speeds, and still working on getting that figured out. But anyway, we'll go ahead and take off here. This is 4 high in 4-wheel drive, but I don't know if you guys can remember, but second gear I could get on the highway and do almost 80, and now it's only taken me up to maybe 40, depending on how high I want to rev it. And then I'm already in third. Then we can lock up the torque converter, and we'll go ahead and go down to fourth. And I'm not going to be able to get up to 70, but I'm at about 27 or 2800 RPM at 70. So I honestly was expecting it to be even higher than that with 513s, but this AW4 overdrive is actually a pretty low, or however you want to say it. It drops the RPMs pretty low. Yeah, it's pretty cold out, so I've been unlocking the torque converter even in fourth just to keep my transmission temperature up. But there you can see, so that's with the torque converter unlocked, and then lock it up in fourth, and there, we're getting close there. 65, 2600 RPM. We're just cruising right along here, about just over 1,000 EGTs. There's a little bit of a headwind here. Right about 70. Got my speedometer corrected for the gears. It's wanting to be a little jumpy, but it's accurate a lot of the time. But we are not staying very warm because it is chilly out. So anyway, to kind of start, I think if you guys watched the last video, I was towing the Dakota home because after getting the gear installs, the drive line I wasn't really under I guess, it didn't dawn on me that it was going to be spinning so much faster than before, and the slight vibration I had at way high speeds became a major vibration almost instantly, pretty much above about 45 mile an hour. So anyway, yeah, I got a clip here of the carnage from that fiasco. Oh yeah, just a little carnage, no big deal. Oh yeah, good stuff. Don't even need to take the bolts out. But on to the rest of the story. The last few days, I know probably anybody in the Midwest or most of the U.S. has had some crazy cold temperatures, as you saw in my videos there. That's I would say most of the issues that I've had in the past couple days have been from that, but probably some of it is just my own, or I should say a majority of it is my own doing. Um, to start with, it was, I can't remember when, one evening we were coming back from the lake from an ice fishing tournament, and the truck died on my wife. And of course, at -20, the first thing you figure is, oh, it gelled up on me. So I towed it to a gas station with the Toyota and started messing with it. And after, oh, I don't know how much diesel I sprayed everywhere trying to figure out what was going on. Oh, I noticed the injection plug on the harness head came loose, and it was backed off just enough that I was losing power to the injection pump. And again, not a huge deal, but of course, in the conditions, you don't even think to look at electrical, and or even just think that the injection pump isn't clicking on when you go ahead and turn the key on. So I felt a little dumb there for towing it all the way back, but it was about -20 out, so I didn't really feel like working on the side of the road anyway, with no light, because it was dark by then. So anyway, and then the next day, I mean, it wasn't above zero. And what was the next thing? Oh man, probably spent too much time out there in the cold. But the next issue I had after the injection pump plug came out, we were back somewhere around the lake fishing, and my wife pulls up, and this thing is just dumping fuel everywhere. And popped the hood, and the stinking return line from the injection pump to the fourth injector had popped off. And with the tank pump running, even with the bypass, there's not really pressure, but there's a ton of flow. And it just filled everything. And with those new holes that I put in my adapter to put the bolts to the block in, well, it was completely filling the bell housing full of diesel. So the bell housing dripped diesel for I don't know how long after I fixed that. It was quite an ordeal. So I think it was the cold temperatures with um just the diesel getting thick. I had plenty of anti-gel in it. It wasn't gelling up, but that and the tank pump probably, and the fact that they're still the factory lines, I never replaced those. So I did get some clamps for them so those can't pop off again. But that was the next issue that just pretty much was icing on the cake. And then I couldn't believe anything else could go wrong. and we're almost home from that weekend, this last weekend, and the thing dies a mile from my house, or a couple miles. It was just a nightmare. Again, freezing cold. Don't even want to look at it, so I tow it home. And I'm looking at the injection pump. I'm thinking probably I covered the whole wiring harness in diesel to where I shorted something out. So I plugged in a different wiring harness with no change. After that, there's still no fuel to the injectors. They're just slowly leaking. And so I know it's not getting power, or it's the computer is not telling it to give it fuel. So, oh, what did I do next? I can't remember, but I finally plugged in my computer, which hindsight I should have just looked at my alter gauge. I wasn't getting any crank signal. And so thought about it, and with nothing else, considering I plugged the other wiring harness in and I'm still not getting crank signal, I knew something was up. So my first thoughts were I grabbed a spare crank sensor, bolted that in, and it fired right up. So that was very concerning to me. I've never lost a crank sensor on one of these ALH engines, and I don't like the idea of being stranded for that thing. I know that's a big push for a mechanical pump, but it is super easy to change out. I think I may even just keep a spare with me now that it happened. But all that to say, don't get into these swaps thinking you're just going to have this perfect vehicle. I mean, you can go through it and replace everything, but you're still going to have aftermarket parts that fail. And obviously, all these parts were used and old that failed on me, but I've seen just as much issues with anything else you use. So just some of those things you gotta deal with. But anyway, I'm hoping the weather warms up and I can get some better video. I want to do some off-roading with the Dakota and really show you guys how the gears work and everything. And I did put a Eaton locker in the rear when I put the gears in, so this thing is pretty mobile now. So anyway, stay tuned for some off-roading with the Dakota.